Hello, and welcome to Perspectives in Leadership, a conversation with the Chancellor. I'm Dr. Craig Kline, Area Coordinator of Telecommunications here at Valdosta State University. And our guest today is Dr. Stephen R. Portch, University System of Georgia, Chancellor. Joining me also on the program today, Mr. Charles Harmon, Director of University Relations here at Valdosta State, and Dr. John Magnasco, Professor of Communication Arts here at Valdosta. I'd like to get things going here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Your background, and what you think makes for a good chancellor.
Well, I moved to this country 20 years ago from southern England, so I'm a bona fide southerner, which I think is important. I did my undergraduate work in England and my graduate work here, and then started as a faculty member in the University of Wisconsin system, teaching English. Then headed a two-year campus, then became chancellor of a two-year system there, and then became the number 2 person in the Wisconsin system as senior vice president of academic affairs. So tried a little bit of everything, and when I saw this opportunity, I checked out the definition of chancellor in the Oxford English Dictionary, and its first usage was 1066, and it said a petty official in charge of children, idiots, and lunatics. And so not a lot has changed.
I see. How does one train to be a chancellor? Was this a goal that you had in mind 20 years ago?
No. My goal was to find a job where I didn't have to wear a tie every day, and so I thought a faculty job sounded great. And then some things went wrong along the way. So it just happened.
Okay. Well, a number of things have taken place since you joined us here in Georgia. Things that have become issues that are publicly discussed. For example, post-tenure review for faculty, changes in the pricing structure for tuition, and separate mission statements for each of the 34 units that are the Georgia state system. Would you explain to the audience for us, please, what is a mission statement? Why should institutions have these?
Well, I think like any organization, universities, colleges need to be able to state what their primary purposes are. And we're in an era now, just like corporate America, where nobody can be all things to all people. And so focus is important, and a strategic planning process where people can decide what is our highest priority to serve the people in our region and put our resources behind our greatest strengths. So in doing a mission review, it's a chance to step back, look at oneself, look at where one wants to go in the future, and then decide what programs we need to have to serve the needs in the future and what changes we need to make. So it's a very good process, I think, and we're going to be helped by a very distinguished national panel because sometimes you're so close to the action you can't always see the possibilities, and they're going to be helping us in this process.
So when one puts all the mission statements together, do these somehow fit into a larger master plan?
I hope so. I think our goal, as stated in our vision statement, is that we would have a whole that's greater than the sum of its parts. So at this stage, we're asking our institutions to dream and visualize what they want to be. And our role will be simply to make sure that we cover the state's needs, that as our institutions talk about serving needs, that we have a check and balance to make sure that all the state needs are met.
All right. I like the use of that word vision. A lot of people, when they discuss leadership, talk about visions of leaders and their goal for the future. What's your vision for the University System of Georgia?
Well, I don't think it's my vision. I think it's a vision of the Board of Regents, and hopefully, since they represent the people of the state, the people's vision. And what I do in trying to help people create the vision for the system, I think it was a great Western philosopher by the name of Wayne Gretzky. And when Wayne Gretzky was asked what distinguished him from all other ice hockey players, he said, "I skate to where the puck will be, not where it is." And so I think the fundamental part of a vision is to try and look out ahead and see where you want to go. Vision, sight, where is it that you see you want the organization to go? And then your next step is, what is it going to do? What's it going to take to get us to realize our vision? So it is a sort of sequential strategic planning process. And it's nothing very magical or mysterious, but just trying to have a clear vision of where you want to be. Because if you can't see where you want to go, you'll never get there.
Okay. And where do you want to be?
Well, I think we want a system in this state which has national and international preeminence. I think the people in this state deserve that. because of a commitment they're currently making to strengthening education in this state. And the stronger we are, the better service we're going to be able to provide the citizens. So that's really the underpinning of that vision. And we've got tremendous strength here. And if we can pull that strength together, going in a common direction, speaking with one voice, we can realize that vision.
And so we could achieve it if we are united with the common purpose.
Exactly.
Very good. Well, with that, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more Perspectives in Leadership after this.
Wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say.
The power of teaching.
The world won't get no better if we're just
The power to wake up young minds. The power to wake up the world. Teachers have that power. Reach for the power. Teach. I'm Edward James Olmos, and we're recruiting new teachers. Call 1-800-45-TEACH.
Hi, and welcome back to our conversation with University System of Georgia Chancellor, Dr. Stephen R. Portch. It's time now to turn the questioning over to Mr. Charles Harmon, Director of Valdosta State University Relations.
Chancellor Portch, what has surprised you the most about Georgia and the higher education system here? What are our strengths, our weaknesses, and opportunities?
Well, I think the greatest surprise, and it's been a very pleasant one, has been the incredible enthusiasm I found throughout the state for taking the system to the next level. And I find that in the general public, I find it in the General Assembly, I find it on our campuses. I feel a real spirit of we can do. I think our strengths are that we have a very bold and innovative education governor, in my view. The Hope Scholarship Program, as an example, is one of the most creative things I've ever seen in American higher education. We also, I think, have a nicely structured system with a constitutional board of regents, which gives it a lot of independence and authority and responsibility. And we've got a lot of talent out in our institutions. I think what we've been trying to accomplish the past few months is to get us all moving in a common direction, understanding our roles, and moving more in a direction of collaboration rather than competition, and putting the needs of the people before the needs of the institutions. And I think we've made a lot of progress towards that.
You've just had your first opportunity to work with members of the General Assembly this past session. Can you tell us a little bit about what was accomplished during this past session?
Well, we had a remarkably successful session. Our budget, which the governor recommended on our recommendations, was very strong. And through the General Assembly, that got a lot of support. So we have some major new features, including a 6% salary increase for our faculty and staff, which is very important because an institution like Valdosta State University is recruiting and hiring a lot of faculty. This will give us an opportunity to hire the best in the country. We got a lot of funding related to technology, and I really believe that by the time of the Olympics, we can be the premier technological system in the world. And one of those very exciting funding initiatives was the funding of a statewide library, where we're going to hook the entire university system libraries together so students will have access to whatever exists within the system's library. And long term, we hope to connect the public libraries, the K-12 and the DTA libraries onto that same system. So there's a number of things in the technology area which came through. We also got good support in our capital projects, and so we look forward to continuing to build the infrastructure for the system. Very, very supportive legislature, very accessible, very responsive to our requests.
Valdosta State recently played host to the Georgia Chamber of Commerce's Red Carpet Tour, where chief executive officers visited the city and visited our campus. What role do you see members of the university system playing in terms of economic development for the state?
Well, I think we play a very critical role. The transfer of technology, the transfer of knowledge into the marketplace, I think, is critically important. I think what we're also looking for is more structured ways to connect to business and industry, and creating liaison office in my office for people to turn to us to help when they've got a need in their business or industry, to turn to us to find an answer to that need somewhere in the system. So we've got to be realistic. Our health depends on the economic health of this state. When the health of the economy is good, then the revenues are there for us to accomplish our goals. We are the people producing many of the people who go into the workforce in this state. And so if we can help the economic engines be successful, that will be good for the state and it will be good for us. And so it's a real partnership.
Do you also see the university system working closer with the primary and secondary school systems in terms of reaching down a little bit lower and being able to encourage more interest in science and math and being prepared for a college career?
We absolutely have to do that. Our entire future success is dependent on more students coming to us ready to succeed. And that's in all the academic areas. And we've got to be much more aggressive in working with K-12 and putting in some academic enrichment programs of our own, reaching out to youth, especially those youth who are most at risk in our state.
And with that, we're going to take another short break. We'll be back with more Perspectives in Leadership after this.
Which child deserves to be read to? This one? Or is it this one? Which child will learn to use a toothbrush? Who will have a chance to sing? The choice is yours. Volunteer for Head Start. With your help, more low-income preschool children can get what other children already have. Change the world of a child, and you change the world.
Someone out there needs help, and you've decided to save them. Every year, thousands of people die waiting for organ and tissue transplants. To be a donor, even if you've signed something, you must tell your family now so they can carry out your decision later. Otherwise, it's like throwing a 12-foot rope to someone who's 15 feet away. Share your life. Share your decision.
Welcome back to our conversation with University System of Georgia Chancellor Dr. Stephen R. Portch. This time, Dr. John Magnasco has some questions.
Chancellor Portch, as you know, the future of any large institutional system of students and faculty really is dependent upon many things, but certainly one of the things to keep us in the forefront will be the needs of the faculty. Does the university system foresee some mechanism by which it can address the ongoing needs for the faculty in order to transfer that back to the students and maintain our status as we go through into the future?
Well, two things. I'd add the staff to that question, and I would change maintaining our status to even increasing our status. Okay. But with those modifications, our recent initiative on faculty and staff development is aimed directly at that. We are a very labor-intensive operation, and we need to invest more in our education of our own people. Compared to corporate America, higher education spends an incredibly small portion of its budget on the growth and training of its people. So we made a commitment recently that 1%, a minimum of 1% of the salary base in the system would be devoted to the continuing growth and development. Now, what we want to do with that is target it so it's a benefit not only to the individual, but to the institution and the people we serve. That was the whole basis of the post-tenure review. The post-tenure review is not aimed at being a punitive process, but as a process to identify what growth needs somebody has and then to find ways to meet that needs with funding where it's necessary. The same with our staff training, tuition reimbursement for our staff to take courses that advance their skills for the work they do. That seems to me a very fundamental part of what we ought to be about. So we do have an initiative in that area. We have a task force which has significant faculty membership on it, going to be working on the details of that over the next 12 months.
Dr. Portch, earlier we mentioned the partnership situation. We have universities, we have 4-year institutions, and we have the 2-year institutions. Do you see some partnership or new relationship perhaps that will perhaps go between and among those institutions, and is that part of the overall plan that the central office might have in that regard?
Very much so. I think, again, it goes to serving people. I think we see many more opportunities for 4-year colleges and universities to bring capstone degree programs to communities where there are 2-year colleges, using a combination of distance education and traveling faculty or weekend programs. The reverse may also be true. It may be that our 2-year units may be able to bring some resources to bear on some of the challenges facing our senior colleges and our universities. So we've shifted our funding mechanisms from not just simply a enrollment-based funding, but set aside money to fund 2 areas: collaboration among our units and reaching for national excellence. We had 250-some proposals in that area, and we funded 23 proposals to advance the collaboration. It's an amazing thing, but budget does have influence on behavior.
I would imagine so, sir. The 21st century is coming, and in order to keep the university system excelling, where do you see some major new programs coming down the line? Perhaps not necessarily by name, but in area or emphasis or something like that?
Well, I think the mission review process is supposed to identify the ongoing and future needs of the state. And what we're going to have to be is more flexible and time responsive, in my judgment. Currently, as we respond to needs, we're often, we just get something cranked up and get our supply for a particular area of profession in full-blown, and that profession suddenly becomes fully employed. And so we need to be anticipating a little bit more, I think, trends in the workplace. But we're not just a workplace producer. I don't want to diminish the importance of general education. For me, the most important definition of a college education is what's left after you've forgotten everything you've been taught. So we've still got to have very well-educated, broadly educated students who can adjust to the changing demands of a workforce, because they're going to have several careers. They're not going to be like so many of us who've had careers in one setting.
That's an interesting area, Dr. Portch. As you know, the speed of technology speeds everything else up, and traditionally universities and colleges have lagged in the way they've responded to the external demands, either by industry or by the private or other nonprofit sectors or something. Is the university system to at least parallel that growth, if not to be in front of it, and then so that we can do, as you say, lead and excel in the U.S.?
We absolutely have to do that, and clearly the way we're structured means we do take time to make informed decisions, but as we're making those informed decisions, we need to be more responsible and more flexible.
And with that, we conclude today's program. I'd like to thank my colleagues, Dr. John Magnasco of the Communication Arts Department here at Valdosta State University, and Mr. Charles Harmon, Director of University Relations, and of course, University System Chancellor, Dr. Stephen R. Portch. Thank you, gentlemen. For Perspectives in Leadership, I'm Craig Kline.